Here we have another one of these combined sentences questions. We saw one of these earlier in the exam, and it was kind of tricky, and it's still kind of tricky, but hopefully we remember what we talked about for that one, and that is that these are testing both the ideas, first and foremost, but also a little bit the style of the sentence. And ultimately for style, we want to keep it short, right? The best answers on the SAT almost always are the shortest ones. There are exceptions, but if you have nothing else to do, just guess the shortest one. That's your best guess. And in this case, that would be choice D, right? That's the shortest one. You can just look at it. But because I know that combined sentences questions are also asking me to combine the ideas, this one is actually a little bit of a problem. Because a semicolon, for our purposes on the SAT, is basically a period, right? You can only use a semicolon if you have a complete sentence before the semicolon and a complete sentence after the semicolon. We do here. Grammatically, the semicolon is fine. And that's why on these ones, notice I'm not talking about grammar. I'm talking about ideas, I'm talking about style. Grammar doesn't really matter. So why is a semicolon bad? Well, we're asked to combine the sentences. And honestly, we haven't really done that. We've done it by getting rid of the capital letter, but we basically just put a period between these two ideas. And that's not combining them in the way that the SAT wants us to. We want to really get those ideas to flow from one sentence to the other. And so a semicolon is this like hard break that we just don't want to pick. It's very, very rare that a semicolon is going to be right on these questions. So it's short, but it's not really accomplishing the goal that we're given. Now we could look at choice C, but before we do, let's look at the really long ones and let's see why those are wrong. The problem is that they're repetitive. And this is again why keeping it short is better. We don't want to repeat ourselves, and they use that word retain. Paying for tuition also helps businesses retain employees. And this retention is important not only because it ensures a skilled and experienced workforce, but also because it mitigates the considerable costs of finding, hiring, and training new workers. So retention, and in this case retaining, they're just two versions of the word retain, which I've already used. So I don't want to be redundant. Again, these are not wrong grammatically. They're fine. They're weird. They hopefully sound a little weird. But grammatically speaking, A and B are not wrong. They use correct grammar, and that's what makes it so tricky, is you don't really need to think about grammar, but it's the grammar section. You're used to it. So you've got to know what to do when you are asked to combine sentences. We really want to combine the ideas. And C does that in a short way, but it also does it in a way that lets the idea kind of flow, right? So it says, paying for tuition also helps businesses retain employees, which is important not only because it ensures a skilled and experienced workforce, but also because it mitigates the considerable costs of finding, hiring, and training new workers. So it's taking this long second piece, which originally was its own sentence, and by using the word which, it's kind of like letting it connect to the first idea. The ideas are getting connected. It's a weak connection, but it's an important one. It lets those two things flow. And so which is a very helpful word for a lot of situations on the SAT because it takes two things that once stood alone and it lets them connect in a way that doesn't create any run-on sentences. So it's short and it actually connects the ideas. Those are the two things that are important for combined sentences questions. Not grammar, style, and ideas. Remember that. That can help you solve these.